following broadcast is a production of HCC TV.
Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Frank Cooper.
And we are
The Watchers in the
Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Hopefully for some of y'all it's welcome back. We're here today to talk about Game of Thrones. It's back, everybody.
Yes.
Finally, we are dying to talk about it, and we have a lot to talk about. So let's get right into it. Watching the episode, which was entitled Winterfell, made sense because a lot of the show was at Winterfell.
Yeah.
The main theme for the whole show, I think, the overarching theme was reunions. A lot of characters meeting up who haven't interacted in quite a while. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about... this was not the first one in the show, but this is one of the biggest reunions, Jon and Sam.
Yes.
Frank, let me know, when was the last time these two characters interacted?
So season 5, episode 8 was hard home. They took a lot of L's, a lot of people died, a lot of wildlings died. So the following episode, episode 9, Jon comes back to the wall. He tells Sam what he saw. Sam is devastated about what he's hearing. And Sam proposed the idea like, hey, I'm not a warrior, I'm not a fighter, but I can help you. Send me to Old Town, let me become a maester. Let me get the knowledge that I can get to try to stop these White Walkers. Jon's apprehensive at first. He's like, I don't know about that, I need you here. Finally, Jon's like, okay, I'll let you go. So season 5, episode 9 last time they were together.
Okay. And so this is the first episode of season 8. So in this episode, we see Sam actually goes to find Jon in the crypts. Sam is going to let Jon know the truth of his parentage, the fact that he is not a bastard after all. He is actually the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. Yeah. What did y'all think about the reveal? I mean, Jon's reaction to it, just overall kind of your viewpoints of what happened.
I think it could be argued that while it did make sense for Sam to tell Jon, it kind of seemed like a weird, first time reunion in, like Frank said, since season 5, and it's like, hey, it's great to see you. By the way, you're not who you think you are, right. And also your girlfriend, Daenerys Targaryen, also, murdered my father and my brother, and I think it was just kind of awkward in a weird way, but at the same time, Bran did make the point that Jon trusts no one more than Sam, and I have a little bit of mixed feelings about it. I'm glad that in the very first episode of the season, Jon learns who he is, because I just kept wondering, how long is this going to be, dragged out, and why wouldn't Jon know? But at the same time, it's just a little awkward.
That's what I was thinking. Because just the way everything happened, Sam, he goes out after finding out that his dad and brother were killed by Daenerys. Right. He goes out, he sees Bran just sitting there waiting for him.
Hanging out.
Just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
He just does that the whole episode, by the way. Yeah. I could not stop laughing every time I saw Bran. He would just be sitting there and just staring at everybody. Yeah. For no reason.
In that part, he was in the dark. It was
he's
the only
waiting
person
outside
out there.
He's like, you have to tell him, because he's more of a brother than Bran, for real.
Well, Bran is no longer Bran.
Yeah, Bran even tells him. He says,
he's like, I'm not
really his brother anymore.
But I think what Brittany said, the way they went about it and they did that, it was kind of weird, but I can see why. I think he mentioned the Daenerys stuff, what she did with him, because he knows that if Jon would have been the king, that was an interesting transition, because he's like, so you wouldn't have, you spared people, you've done that before. So he's like, you could have been the king the whole time. Right. And he didn't know that. So.
And here she just had basically executed his father and his brother.
And it was crazy. But
And also notice too that with the camera work, where you see Jon's profile, that you see in the background his mother's crypt. Yeah. And it's I don't know, sometimes I feel with Game of Thrones, with showrunners, they kind of try to drop in weird, not hints or clues, that kind of deal, but they do their camera tricks
they place everything on purpose.
Exactly. What do you think about that, Frank?
I thought the scene was very powerful. I think Samuel finding out how his family was murdered prompted him to motivate him to even tell Jon sooner. I think that's what prompted him to tell him that. I'll just say it real quick. I think the guy who plays Bran has the easiest acting job in the world. Like,
I agree.
He's literally just
I
reading off
agree.
lines and just like saying it with no emotion.
Yeah.
He's making it easy.
And he
cool.
doesn't have to like
Because
move
talking
around.
on camera,
No.
not easy.
He's
It's
sitting
not
in the
easy.
chair, just basically
It's,
talking
trust me,
lines.
it's not easy.
Poor
It's not.
Justin.
Yeah. But like this is like the downfall of having only 6 episodes. I feel like they're kind of like advancing everything so soon. Because I was like you, I was wondering like when they're gonna tell Jon about his parentage, and like I don't know, like I want to see how it goes in episode 2, how Jon's gonna handle this. Because like Jon always sees ruling as a duty, not a birthright.
Right.
Compared to Cersei and Stannis and
Right.
Daenerys, like he sees it as a duty.
He's never wanted it.
Yeah, he's
either.
never wanted it.
He
So I
still
think-
doesn't want it. You know,
No.
he's just
Right.
he's trying to survive where everyone
Yeah.
else wants to be king and queen or whatever. He just wants to live.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Or maybe he doesn't want to live, but he wants other people to live. And so he's
Yeah,
trying to save them.
So like I don't see that as being like such a big issue with the power struggle between him and Daenerys, because he doesn't care for it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Daenerys handles it.
But
That's-
to your point, because you always say that ruling or being in charge has always been his duty. Now that he knows that he's the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, do you think he'll take that as his duty?
I think like, and Justin and I talked about this off screen. I think him making sure that the human race is secure. That precedes any duty, any chair, any Iron Throne that's out there. So I think he sees that the living the dead as his duty to make sure that we try to save as many lives as possible. The aftermath.
Regardless if he's king or not.
Yeah, I don't think the title matters to him. It matters to everybody else.
Right.
But here it's the zombies. It's the White Walkers.
Zombies.
That's what matters at this point.
And I thought it was interesting because Sam, when he's telling Jon that he's the true heir to the Iron Throne, he says, "You're the king of the bloody 7 kingdoms." Like, and Jon was unfazed. The first thing he actually says is like he couldn't believe that Ned
Lied to him.
lied to him.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
And that sucks. It's the identity issue with a lot of these characters. Like even with Theon, like am I Stark or Greyjoy? For however long, 20-some years, Jon has always thought he was a Stark.
Right.
And this is his dad. Now within a fell swoop and within a 30-second time frame, it's his uncle, his auntie was his mama, and Rhaegar is his pappy. Like it's
Right.
within a 30-second swoop. Like
Right.
it's a lot to bear. Like
But also too, because Jon said it himself in the show that, you're telling me the most honorable man that I ever knew lied to me my entire life. And Jon has mirrored his whole persona off of Ned, always trying to do the right thing and always, he who passes the sentence, swings the sword, that whole
Right.
bit. But it's definitely, I think, it's going to be an identity crisis for him because now he's torn between the person that he thought he was always being a bastard, and now he's someone who's got like the
Royalty.
oldest,
Yeah.
like one of the oldest names in noble houses.
The 6th of his name,
Sixth
Aegon
of his name.
Targaryen.
Yeah, exactly. And to the point, I still don't understand this because Jon is Aegon Targaryen, but Rhaegar's first son with Elia was Aegon
Aegon
Targaryen.
Targaryen.
Why would Lyanna name
Same-
her child the
Did-
same name?
Maybe she didn't know. Is
Maybe-
that-
No, I think
No, maybe
there
they
was
have
no.
like a- they have like a-
maybe it was pettiness. Like my Aegon's more important than your Aegon.
Oh wow.
Did he
Elia.
die?
Well, yeah, they were all killed, but like
Yeah.
still,
They
it's just
probably
kinda
like talked
weird.
about it, like, hey, please, like
God.
name my kid, like name him
Like
Aegon.
Aegon, not the strongest name. I mean,
No,
like
it's
there's,
not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's
not
a lot of redundancy in that name as well. Like if I'm Jon, I'm like I'd rather be Jon than Aegon. Like
I mean, sorry to the Aegons out there. No offense to the Aegons out there, but
But also, it's a name that you like have to live up to because of Aegon the Conqueror. I mean, like that's like greatness written all over it, and now Jon has to kind of maybe like can he live up to that?
Maybe
name?
that's why they chose that name.
Maybe
They
so.
said it
Yeah.
lives up to greatness. So.
Right.
So I remember reading a while back after season 7 had premiered, maybe even before, but that it's somewhere leaked that his name was going to be Jaehaerys instead of Aegon, which Jaehaerys was also another Targaryen
Targaryen
king, and actually one of the better ones from my
best one.
understanding, the best one. So that would have been kind of cool because with the J, keeping the same name,
Yeah.
J name, but
that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. But Aegon, I don't know, that still kind of bothers me at times. But anyway.
So Sam revealing Jon's parentage was the top story in the show, and I think it's interesting. I just want to read a quote from it. So Sam's talking to Jon. He says he's basically comparing Jon to Dany, who, Jon's now with Dany, and he says, "You gave up your crown to save your people. Would she do the same?" What do y'all think? Jordan, what do you think?
I don't think.
I don't think she will.
I don't think she would. She's
Yeah.
she's like worked too much to like oh wait,
Right.
you're the rightful heir.
It matters to her a
No.
lot, right? Being the queen.
Yeah.
Those
I don't-
titles, yeah.
I don't think John's gonna care as much about that, but she's gonna care.
Well, because also too, when they first met on Dragonstone, that she was all upset that he's not referring to her as my queen and bending the knee and all that stuff, and he says, your reasonings are based solely on your name.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he has the same name. So is he going to pull that same card and say, well, I'm actually...
That'd be funny. If like, wait a minute, no,
Like-
you have to talk to me like that now.
Yeah.
You bend the knee.
If Daenerys, if she's the honorable mother of dragons, breaker of chains, breaking the wheel, she's all about helping the little person and breaking all this bondage, then it shouldn't matter to her. If she lives up to the responsibilities that she says she's trying to live up to, because she's all about how she wants to help the needy and break this wheel. Well, part of breaking the wheel is breaking some of these titles too. Like you're so dead set on this is my father's throne and this is my birthright.
Which is kind of ironic, really, because
Yeah.
the fact that she wants, like you're saying, she wants to break the wheel, but she also wants to be the one at the very top.
You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
If the wheel's broken, nobody can be at top on a broken
Right.
wheel. So it's like for me it's like if she really is about helping people and really about saving Westeros and the world, then let this will be done and let Jon do what he can to save the kingdoms.
Or let them do it together.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
That's,
see,
I mean, that's
Which-
like...
I don't
That's actually proposed in this episode.
Right.
If you want to get into that.
Right. So there's one point in the show where Varys, Davos, and Tyrion are in Winterfell. They're walking, around the castle, and they're basically just talking and saying. Davos is pointing out that the Northerners are stubborn as goats, and in order to
Petty.
they're pretty petty.
Short-sighted. Yeah, they're the worst.
Well,
Super
and they're
petty. They're the
so
worst.
picky. I mean, like they're like 1 minute. And Sansa said it last season too. She said, 1 minute the Northerners are behind someone, and then the next thing they're trying to get rid of someone, and then they throw their support again. So I mean, they're really finicky about that. But Davos is saying you have to basically earn the Northerners' trust, and how do you do that? Well, you have a king in the north. I mean, that's kind of up in the air because Jon says it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Because he's bent the knee to Daenerys, but the three men are amongst themselves and suggesting maybe a proposal. Maybe their proposal is a proposal between Jon and Dany uniting,
The partnership.
a partnership and what have you. But Varys says something very interesting that the young, keep their distance from the older with respect, because they don't want to hear the truth. And Tyrion said, well, what's that? Well, nothing lasts. So is that maybe like foreshadowing that Dany and Jon are not going to last?
Right.
That's suggesting that obviously something has already started, but is that foreshadowing that they're not going to last?
Yeah, because the second they say that, it pans to them.
Exactly.
Their scene starts.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, if we go from the format of the show, like all the love interests with two characters, they always end tragically.
Yeah.
Except Sam and Gilly, so far.
Yet. Yeah. We still got 5
I'm
more
still
episodes
on
left.
that one. I
We
hope
didn't see
not.
Gilly last night.
We did not see Gilly
We did not
last
see
night.
Gilly or Little Sam.
Or Little Sam.
Or the baby.
Yeah, we did not see them. So what's the question again? What was
Well, just the partnership. The partnership between Jon and
Just discuss
Dany.
that, yeah.
Because
Oh,
you're talking
it's-
about, is Dany going to rule? Is Jon going to rule? Well, how about they rule together?
a lot of it is dependent on Dany because John's all about the greater good. So like a partnership will be for the greater good of the North and the Seven Kingdoms. But can Dany put aside an ego to say, I'm the queen and you're just my husband, but I'm leading the charge. But it's
Right.
like, can we be one unit and lead as in one unison? That's totally up to Dany and whether or not she put her ego to the side.
Paraphrasing Tywin Lannister, anyone who says I'm the king or I'm the queen is really not the king or
Right. You
queen.
have to say it.
so-
Exactamundo.
Yeah. So
Now, I think as these next 5 episodes go along, I think she will follow Jon's lead and see that none of this matters. Like, titles, holdings, lands, none of this matters. It's life or death. And I think Jon will be a positive influence on Daenerys, and I think she'll change her tone about, you know, being the queen and just you know, trying to be in a partnership with him.
Do we think anyone like when is so in this episode we find out, or actually we learned last season, but Jon learns his parentage. Sam knows it. Bran knows it. Is anyone else going to find out?
I mean,
eventually,
Daenerys
right?
is going to have to find out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that.
What happens when Sansa finds out?
Oh, she's
Ooh.
snitching. She's straight snitching.
Yeah.
She telling the North.
Telling everybody.
Everybody.
Or I think she's going to go tell Dany and say, "Hey, you're not the
No greater
you're not the heir
joy.
to the throne." Yeah.
Yeah, there will
I
be
can
no
see that
greater
happening.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too.
Sansa's, I don't know, she's definitely, I feel like, embodying Baelish, you know, Littlefinger now.
A little
that
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
She learned a lot from him, which is fine. Like, she needed to kind of grow up and, like, mature and think that not everything's a fantasy. But, like, at the same time, it's like, she's learned too much from Littlefinger. And, yeah, maybe she'll turn.
But I gotta give her credit in this episode because she does seem like the only smart one. Dany, Tyrion, Jon, Davos, they all think the Lannister army's coming north. They all think that. That's
Right,
that's
true. That's true.
That's bothersome to me. Like this woman destroyed a sept in season 6.
Do you think Tyrion believes that though? I don't think Tyrion really does.
I
Even the
hope
way
not.
even the way he was defending Jon, he said, "Hey, like without Jon, we'd all be, you know, in really bad shape."
But he
Yeah.
did say that the Lannister army was coming, though.
He did say, but the way he says it, he's not like.
Then
It wasn't the most confident statement I think I've
Well,
ever
was
heard
it
on the
confidence
show.
or the fact that he knows he's saying something to the Northern Lords who don't trust?
That's true.
Southerners?
Yeah,
Like,
but they don't
that's-
want to hear anything. I mean,
That's true.
You could have given free hot pies to people, and they still would have been like, "It's not hot enough," or "I like it cold," or what. You know, like they're just. They're
The
hard
butter
people.
wasn't browned
The
enough.
butter wasn't brown enough. I mean, it could have been. Yeah, they're tough to deal with. So the Jon Sam reunion was something that we wanted to see for a little while, but I think the one that most of us were looking forward to the most is Jon and Arya. So let's talk about that. When was it episode 1 the last time they saw each other?
Yeah,
or-
in episode 1.
Was it episode 1 or
Wow.
episode 2?
Episode 1 because they all disbanded.
Oh,
they
that's
all
right.
went. John went to the wall. Arya and Sansa went to King's Landing, and he gave her a needle, and it's like don't remember sticking with the pointy end, and they hug, and that was it.
Right.
You know, he went with Benjen. John went with Benjen, and that was it.
Which, like what Frank is saying, the reunion between Arya and Jon mirrors, their goodbye in
Right,
season
yeah.
1. And the episode opened like that anyway, with a little boy running to see Jon, Dany, and the armies coming into Winterfell, and you hear the music, and it's the same music that's playing when Robert Baratheon first arrived in Winterfell. So there was a lot of callbacks to season 1, episode 1, which I absolutely loved. And even with the boy running and climbing, that was kind of like a nod to Bran, because Bran did exactly that. Arya was in the crowd to see, Robert Baratheon arrive in Winterfell. So we have a lot of it's kind of like this gift, and it's being wrapped, and it's really perfect at the same time. It's really nice.
Even the scene where when Samuel meets John in the crypts, the same. It mirrors when Rob and Ned were in the crypts looking at Lyanna.
Yeah.
But in this episode, Lyanna was in the background when John was finding out about his parentage. It's almost scary how much it resembles each other. This episode and the first episode of the series.
Yeah.
Even to that point, with Jon and Sam being reunited, Sam came to Castle Black very, cowardice and whatnot, and he was almost kind of reverting back to that when he was going to talk to Jon and tell him the truth about his identity,
Right.
and he was hiding. He's like, why were you hiding? And it's just it's very interesting to kind of see these callbacks go all the way back to season 1.
And Jon kind of thought that Arya was hiding from him because when he arrived, he was immediately looking for
Yeah.
her. And actually, as he's riding up with Dany, the kind of the parade of troops, the Unsullied and the Dothraki, she sees Jon, and you can see the smile on her face. She almost wants to blurt out his name or something, but then she catches herself and doesn't.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when they do meet, Jon's at the weirwood tree, and she walks up, and they have a little bit of an exchange. Then, similar to what you were saying on the last time they saw each other, she jumps into his arms. They have a big hug, big embrace.
It was so sweet. Oh my
Yes.
God. I got a little emotional about it. Cause I have an older brother, and we're really close, and I would feel the same. If I haven't seen him in umpteen years, you know what I mean? It's a really powerful bond between Arya and Jon, because in many ways, and I think you can attest to this, they were kind of like the outsiders of the Starks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jon definitely as being a bastard, but like Arya wasn't conforming to being a lady.
Right.
And she always wanted to do whatever the boys were doing. So they have a very special bond.
They're probably the closest. That's kind of what we understand from the
Yeah.
books and from the show. Yeah.
And sidebar, George R.R. Martin actually wanted Arya and Jon to have a relationship that is what we now know as Jaime and Cersei.
Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm glad he didn't do that because it's really disturbing,
Yeah.
like, to think about that, because obviously you see the characters and they're much younger in the books.
Yeah.
But like, I'm really glad George R.R. Martin didn't do that, because Arya
call,
and
George.
yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Arya and Jon are like amongst my favorite characters in this whole show, and I'm just thank you for not doing that.
Yeah.
But again, you still see that closeness between the two of them, and it's very, very sweet. But I would like to point out, and I want to get your take on this, guys. When they're having their exchange, like you mentioned, Arya says to Jon, you know, you were taller once, and he turns around and, you know, he says whatever he says, he says, how did you creep up on me or something like that? And she says, how did you survive a knife to the heart? And he says, I didn't. And then they hug. Are we just gonna blow over the fact that like she knows that he was stabbed in the heart, and like he's like, I didn't survive it, and we're just not gonna talk about it? Like,
Yeah, I caught that too. I was like,
How does she know?
how does she know? And does everyone else know?
Unless Jon told Sansa and off screen of what happened, and Sansa told Arya.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can. Because like even in season 6, when Jon came back from the dead, I think like episode after that, Sansa kills Winterfell, and like they don't show on screen like whether or not Jon told Sansa what he went through.
Yeah.
So unless he told Sansa off screen like, hey, by the way, I got murked by my homies and I came back from the dead. Like that.
Hey.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the only. I don't know how Arya found out, and
Yeah.
it was just glossed over. That's so
Exactly.
irritating.
It bothered me so
Yeah.
much. Did you catch on to that, George?
Yeah, I heard that, but
Like-
yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, I was just like, they're just blowing it over. Maybe it's something they talked
I
about,
just-
or someone had to
don't
have
get
told her.
it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It bothers me so much that we're just gonna like. There's this. It's like this known fact of Game of Thrones that some things are just obviously not going to be talked
Yeah.
about, and somehow like for example, how does the realm not know when Littlefinger held. Going way back to season 1, when Littlefinger held Ned, you know, by the throat with a knife, and people are just like, you know, look the other way about it. You know what I mean? Like, how does the realm not know these things?
But that happened to King Landon though.
I know that, but what I'm saying is, you would think that would spread, you know, across the realm. That Littlefinger, you know, held a knife up to Ned Stark, a nobleman's, you know, neck, and how does that information not get around?
But I don't think because it happened in the throne room. I don't think anybody wanted that to get out. I think that was like that was a good PR move by the Knights, by Cersei. Like nobody.
And also, Ned was considered a traitor at that time.
Yeah.
So it
True,
was
but I'm
almost
just saying, like, how does information not
spread.
spread?
Yeah.
You have ravens.
Yeah.
Use them.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
There was a call to family in that same Arya and Jon scene when Jon tells Arya like, hey, like, oh, all of a sudden you taking Sansa's side too. He's like, Sansa's right, and then they hug, and he's like, oh, we're family, and don't you forget that.
Right, because
Yeah.
Sansa says that Arya's saying Sansa is defending their family, and
Yeah.
to which Jon says, well, I'm her family
Yeah.
too.
Right.
And
They
like you're saying,
embrace.
they embrace
Yeah.
it, and Arya says to Jon, don't forget that, which also foreshadows the whole, like, the reveal
Right.
of who he really is.
But that makes me wonder too. When she said that,
Does she know?
does she know too?
Exactly.
Because
Right.
if she knows about Jon getting stabbed and dying, does she know about Jon not
Yeah.
really being her brother and being her cousin?
Right.
Right.
Because,
How
like,
would you know-
don't
how
you-
would you know that? Sansa doesn't even know that.
Well, how would she know that Jon got stabbed then?
I don't know.
That's my point.
They're
Like,
still family, though.
Yeah.
they're still family, no matter how.
but these
But
are
it's like-
big, but these
Either
are
way,
big things
yeah.
not to be said on
It's
screen.
true.
Though.
It's
Yeah.
like they're still family regardless. It doesn't matter.
I thought it was interesting how.
Are they though? Because I would think that like
That's their
your
uncle.
point.
Well, but I'm saying her saying, "Don't you forget that." Is saying to me, it's saying,
Don't forget.
we-
Don't
Right.
forget, you're still a Stark.
No, but I get what you're saying. But
Yeah,
I'm
I know
saying-
what you mean.
I'm saying by her saying, "Don't you forget that." I'm thinking she's saying we might not be brother and sister, but we're cousins. We're still family, so don't you
Either
forget
way.
that.
But
That's
yeah.
The thing is, like, does he need a reminder? Isn't he the one who's always kind of thinking of other people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's kind of
Yeah.
weird to tell him, like, hey, think
Yeah.
of family. It's like, that's kind of what I think about all the time.
All the time,
That's
yeah.
what I'm doing here, trying to save all you people. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And
true.
maybe the faces men, they have this innate ability of like just finding out information. I don't know, like
That's how Arya-
being
Yeah,
everywhere.
that
Like,
makes
found out that way
sense.
too?
That
yeah,
makes
'cause
sense.
she is the
Because like who has Bran told other than Sam?
on screen nobody.
No
Right.
way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
no
that's,
one wants to talk to him anyway. He's super,
He's
Yeah.
super
weird.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a
He
good
really
hang
is.
at all. I mean, you don't want to hang out with that guy.
And speaking of Bran, I'm gonna kind of take the reins from you real quick, Justin. What do y'all make of his conversation with Jon? As brief as it was, their
It
reunion.
was awkward.
Awkward.
That was
right?
awkward.
It was
It was-
really
It's
awkward.
like you're a man. Oh, what did he say? You're almost a man. Or
He's like, look at you, you're a
a
man,
now.
and he's
like
like,
almost.
almost, and it's like, what?
That was so weird.
I was thinking so hard at that line, and I just came to the conclusion that was just the writer just put in something there, just to put something there. Like I don't think there was
As a
anything-
joke?
Yeah, like that was Bran's way of joking, like
'Cause I
but
busted
not
out
laughing and not showing
with
any
no
emotion.
emotion.
Yeah,
That
Almost.
was, I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
It was weird. That was very
It was really
awkward.
weird.
Yeah.
Every scene with Bran is awkward.
Was it the most awkward reunion, you think? Those
Yes.
two?
I think it was.
I think out of the reunions that we have here, yes,
Yeah.
I would definitely say that's the most awkward
Definitely.
one.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay,
Because
let's
it's
touch
like,
on-
you know, the last time that Jon saw Bran was still like in a coma, you know, from his fall. And Jon left to go join the Night's Watch. And you can see how Jon is just like, oh my God, like he's here, you know, Bran's alive, he's here, you know, yes, he's
Yeah.
you know, in a wheelchair, but like, look at you, you know, he's grown because honestly, you know,
Yeah,
he has.
It's crazy.
But it's just that weird, like, it's a weird interaction between the two of them. It's yeah.
Just to touch back on the Arya John thing real quick. There's a couple things I want to hit on. So they talk about needle. John gave Arya needle in episode 1, right? So she has it. He asked her, "Have you ever used it?" And she says, "Once or twice."
I thought that
mean,
was funny.
That was
Lie.
That was
pretty good
funny.
line.
Such a
yeah.
lie.
And I feel like even John knows, like, she probably has. Like, she's made it this far, so she probably has. And then something else. Like, I thought it was interesting how Arya now is defending Sansa. They were like,
Yeah. They were at
like
odds.
they were like rivals their whole lives, but especially in season 7 until the very end.
Yeah.
And now she's saying of Sansa, she's the smartest person I've ever met, and that was kind of.
I think Bran's a huge reason why they're close. Because if Bran wasn't there, they wouldn't have the innate ability of going back in time to see what Baelish did to betray Ned and the family. I think that brought
That's a fair point.
the sisters together. Because if Bran was not there,
That would have been.
it
would've been
probably
beefing
would
all
have
the
been a
time.
bloodbath in the season finale. Like one of them
That's
would
true.
probably would have died. Because you had no proof of what happened along the way. Because I thought Sansa was a traitor of how she betrayed their family. But once Bran showed the light, I think that brought them closer together. It really
Yeah.
did. I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So we're talking about Sansa here. Let's talk about a reunion she had with. She was reunited with Tyrion, who was her former husband. I don't know if they're still
husband.
first husband. Yeah. It was a meeting of the Lady of Winterfell and the Hand of the Queen. So what y'all think about that little brief
Well,
tit for tat there? they had?
It's been a long time since they've seen each other. It was the
Season
purple
4?
season 4, the purple wedding. That's where
They talk about that actually.
Joffrey died.
That was funny.
And I kind of liked how Sansa told Tyrion, you know, apologies for leaving the way that it did. He's like, yes, it was a little awkward to explain, you know,
Wife was, after
why-
the king was killed. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I thought I love like the how Tyrion just kind of like states matter of fact points, and then it's just kind of like, oh, you know, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. But you know, Tyrion has asked Jon when they were on Dragonstone, you know, how is Sansa doing? You know, how has she been? And they make the point of Sansa's a lot smarter than she lets on, and Jon tells Tyrion, you know, she's starting to let on, and
Right.
I don't think Tyrion's surprised by that because of all that Sansa has gone through, from her time as being as a captive in King's Landing, to being with Littlefinger, to enduring what she endured with Ramsay Bolton and all that good stuff. Not good stuff, but I don't think
Not good stuff.
It's really not good stuff.
good
It's
stuff.
really really awful. No, R.I.P. to Ramsay Bolton. No. But I really like seeing their reunion, and I don't know, I'm thinking maybe something will come out of it, actually. Maybe not in the sense of being, like, married like they were forced to before, but
Right.
maybe they'll kind of, like, come together and... But then again, maybe not because she.
Like romantically?
No, not romantically, but I'm just saying like for the good of the realm. You know what I
okay.
mean? A partnership in that sense.
Right.
But I don't know because she also kind of told him off. Said, I used to think you were the cleverest man alive.
Right.
And walks off, and it's like, ooh.
I think that was a intellectual power shift. Like,
Yeah.
cause like when in season 1, 2, and 3, Sansa's this meek little girl, inexperienced, wants to be a queen and marry the prince and all these little prince little things that princess thinks about. And I think and Tyrion showed his intellectual valor and his experience, from being handed the king in season 2 and showing his experience and all of that. I think that episode, that scene, kind of showed the roles switch. How Tyrion's made some bad decisions the
He
last
really
couple
has.
seasons.
He really has.
From castle, from Marine to coming to
Dragonstone.
Casterly Rock.
Casterly Rock.
There you go. Casterly Rock, Dorne, the Greyjoy fleet.
Yep.
Like he's made a lot of bad decisions, and like Sansa has made, questionable decisions, but she essentially saved Winterfell, bringing the veil. You know what I'm saying? And saving Jon just in time. So I think it showed like how much of the gap is closed now. Maybe surpassed Tyrion as far as being cunning and
Right.
being smart. So
Maybe so.
yeah.
I think that's a lot coming from Littlefinger, like, because she learned so much from him and she got all that experience in, so it definitely, like, helped her out, and she's becoming, like, Arya said, one of the smartest people, but still, yeah, I don't know, like, that little shot to Tyrion was, like, funny, because, like, he still believes that, even he believes that Cersei's gonna come and help them,
Right.
and it's just, like, I think Cersei's, like, the biggest liar, and
Oh yeah.
and just that, and I thought Tyrion was super smart too. Like, I thought he was like the
Yeah.
cleverest, like one of the most clever people on this show.
Right.
But now, like, it's like I don't know what's happening with him. Like, he's
I
losing
think
his
emotion is getting in the way
Yeah.
of things because, like, you think back to when he was on trial for Joffrey's murder, and he, by Jaime's advice, was to take a plea deal with Tywin, go to the wall, and then, Shay comes up and testifies against Tyrion. This is someone that he was in love with,
Yeah.
and because of what she was saying, the false accusations that she was making, he like totally turned into a different person.
Lost
it. Yeah.
He
It
lost
changed
it, and then it
It
ultimately
changed him.
resulted in him murdering his father
and her.
and her. So I'm thinking, like, with being affected greatly by emotions, like, he makes poor decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna put it out on the table right now. I honestly think that, because I rewatched season 7, episode 7, when Dany and Jon are hooking up or whatever, and Tyrion's like creepily
Yeah,
underneath the stairs.
yeah.
I think Tyrion's in love with Dany.
I think so too.
I think he's in love with Dany.
I don't see that.
Oh, totally. Because I think about how he kind of, I don't know. Everyone falls in love with Dany. Why would he be
Just
the
haven't
exception?
seen I haven't seen any sort of affection. Or, like, he doesn't I don't know. I
That's
don't see
just
that
my
happening.
theory. I think he's in love with her. I think he doesn't like the idea that Jon and Dany are hooking up. And more to the point, I think if he wanted them to be together, he wanted to orchestrate that and not that happen organically. Like, that's just my opinion about it. Ooh, I'm giving y'all something to think about.
Well, I mean, now that you brought that up, when you go back to season 6, when they're about to leave Marine, Daenerys gives Tyrion the hand of the queen thing, the pen, and the way that he looks at her.
He was emotional, like.
But that's a huge honor for him. Like, to
Yeah, but
all the stuff he went through and then
Yeah,
finally
but
get that.
it looked
That's why he has that
it looked
insight. Not
it
because he
looked
loves
like
her.
googly eyes as well too.
I
Like,
don't know. I don't think so.
but
I think it was googly eyes.
but I do agree with you on the fact that a lot of the bad decisions he's made has been tied to emotion. Also, to piggyback off what you said, I think it's tied to him wanting acceptance from his family. Like, every decision he's made, like, even with this whole Cersei thing, like, we know Cersei is a horrible person. Only an idiot would try to make a deal with Cersei and think that she's gonna come through with her end of the bargain. But I think he's so desperate into seeking acceptance from the Lannister family that he'll do anything to show them, like, hey, I do love you guys, and I'm not trying to destroy my family.
Yeah.
And oh my God, you're pregnant again? This is my chance to redeem myself, to save this 4th child, because the other 3 kids well, driving it down his watch, but like he feels guilty about Marcella and Tommen.
Right.
And he says it in the chamber room, like, you know I love Marcella and Tommen. You know I love the children. No matter what you say, you know I love them.
Right.
And I think this fourth child is redemption of like, okay, let me try to salvage what's left of my family and try to secure our future. I really do. I do believe that.
Maybe so, but I don't know. I think definitely with Tyrion, he's impulsive with respects to his emotions, and I think now because he's seen what Dany has done to his family, to the Lannisters and whatnot, with the army, you know, with spoils of war. That episode was amazing, but with the fact that he kind of sees she loses her temper, and you know, could she do the same thing to him? But I don't know. Like I said, I think he's in love with her. I think he's just, you know, making poor decisions.
Okay. So the next reunion, let's talk about it's more of a rescue. So Theon, with his band of archers, I don't know if the Green Arrow or maybe Hawkeye, in games coming up, we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
They rescue Yara from one of Euron's ships, and it just, to me, it happened so easy. Like, what y'all think about like how quickly?
It was way too fast. Way
like,
too
I mean, it was
easy.
like they killed like 3 guys, and I figured it was like on Euron's main ship, right? Would he keep Yara?
I think so.
Because he talked about when Euron and Yara are talking, he talks about how he has no one to talk to. She's the only person to talk to.
Because they're all mute.
Yeah, it's her. It's she's captive. But what y'all think about how quickly or how easy Theon saved her? And
It was so anticlimactic, in my opinion. I don't know.
I was let down because like this season finale of season 7, when they're in the dragon pit, and right before Tyrion talks, Euron says, "Hey, by the way, Theon, I have your sister. Come rescue her or I'll kill her." And like so so you're thinking like, oh, it's gonna sort of be a grand finale, you know, game bowl type of deal between uncle and nephew is about to go down.
Yeah.
And then like he's not even there. He's getting busy.
why wasn't he there? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. He was having fun.
It's
apparently.
occupied.
It was on.
Yeah. But like it was such a huge letdown because like it happened to span on like 10 seconds of him saving Yara, and that was it. Like, all right, on to the next scene. Like, it was just
A couple arrows, a hatchet to the head.
Yeah, it was like
And then Yara headbutts
Heads up,
Theon,
headbutts him, yeah.
and then like reaches out a
That
hand.
was worth it.
That was cool.
Like,
I like
that
that
was
part.
worth it though.
That
Like,
was cool, but-
he's like he was like he had the chance to save her, and he just like, all right, I'm out, and he jumped out the ship. So yeah, I would have headbutted him too.
But
I mean-
I think with it being just 6 episodes, they're gonna gloss over and advance some storylines to
Yeah.
try to get to the end. So.
Yeah, that one's fine.
And then, like very quickly after he rescues her, they're on those ships they stole back from Euron.
It
And
was
I
like
guess-
3 that we saw on screen.
Yeah.
Why didn't they take the whole fleet?
right. But maybe they couldn't. Maybe they didn't have enough people to
Yeah.
take it. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
because he had a small crew. It wasn't that many people.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
So they're sailing. I assume they're sailing for the Iron Islands. That's kind of
Right.
what Yara's saying.
So
Right.
was it, yeah, was
Well,
led
Yara
to
said
believe,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
was led to believe that Yar's going to the Iron Islands.
But he
She
was
basically
still-
gave Theon permission to
Yeah.
go back to Winterfell.
Right, and they had a good exchange. They both say, "What is dead may never die," and then she says it, and he repeats it, and then she says, "But kill the bastards anyway."
Yeah.
That was a pretty
Yeah.
pretty good. They hug.
Yeah.
The next reunion, it's kind of a combo. So it's Arya, Gendry, and like Arya and the Hound. Because both times these characters interact in this episode, they're all 3 together for brief periods of time. So let's talk about that. What'd you think about that?
That was that was some of the most awkward flirting I've ever seen in my
it was
life.
strange. Yeah.
Like, hey, you look good. Yeah, so do you. Make me a weapon. Like that's basically how it went down.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, I was expecting a little bit more.
Like a
I had-
transition.
there
or like,
was no
let's-
hug. There was no
Right.
embrace.
Nothing.
Nothing.
But there was that callback to the last time they saw each other, or when Gendry learned that Arya was not Ari, the orphan boy,
Yeah.
but
Right.
Arya Stark of Winterfell, and he's like, but I should be calling you Milady, and so we kind of saw that come back,
That
which
was
was
right.
really nice. You know, and they both smiled at each other about that because she doesn't want to be referred to as, you know, Lady Stark or
Yeah.
anything like that. But yes, I don't know. I kind of like the reunion. I was hoping maybe something a little bit more, but you know what? We got to go because we only got 6 episodes for this season.
Yeah.
Just give me a hug or a pound or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Some acknowledgement that I missed you. Like, it was just,
Yeah.
it was just so gangster.
Wait
Like,
wait until he tells her, hey, I did it with Melisandre. How well is that going to go
I
over?
think she's gonna find out.
Why would he tell her?
I don't
Because
think
she doesn't like Melisandre.
Yeah, but I don't
Yeah, I
think-
remember
he
for
was
that.
kind
But
of,
why-
he was
yeah.
forced to
He was-
do
Yeah,
that.
it
So
was against his
wasn't
will.
like-
Like he was tied up.
Like, oh, let me try this
he
leech real
know?
quick. All right, it's good. Let's go.
No, but yeah. So we're in Winterfell forges, and Gendry is working on the dragon glass to make these weapons for the Northerners and everyone who's fighting against the dead. And he crafts this really cool like dragon glass axe for the Hound, which
Hound,
I
that's
absolutely
pretty cool.
love because if y'all remember the first time we saw the Hound with an axe is when he made his really big comeback after being presumed dead
Correct.
after his fight with Brienne,
Yeah.
and he was chopping the wood and building the sept with
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but Ian McShane's
Character. Yeah.
And sidebar again, I know useless trivia. Rory, who plays the Hound, he actually used to be a lumberjack, so he actually knows how to use an axe.
I can see like
He
the
looks like a
beard.
lumberjack.
he
Yeah,
looks like-
yeah. So, anyways, so I think that's really cool, and then we first see the interaction between Arya and the Hound, with Gendry present. But Arya is basically telling the Hound, leave Gendry alone because the Hound's kind of teasing Gendry, saying, "Oh, so you're trying to say you're good at making weapons and blah blah blah." But at the same time, like, I wanted more between the Hound and Arya. I really honestly did because like
Yeah, that was too short.
it was way too short.
I
yeah.
thought a lot was said without saying much at all. The Hound's not giving he's not giving me compliments. He's just not. But what I find interesting is when Arya say, "Hey, leave Gendry alone," and he's like, "Oh, I knew you was here, and you're a cold-hearted blank." And he's like, "But you survived." I think that was the Hound's way of saying,
Like, I'm
"I'm
proud.
proud of you."
It was like a show of respect. Sort
Yeah, it
of.
was a show of
Okay.
respect.
Yeah.
Like you finally took the advice that I've been trying to tell you for over 2 seasons while we were together, and and now you're a survivor. That was it was a proud papa moment, but without him like really giving too much.
Yeah.
And even though the Hound is on her list, or he was
I was
on
just
her
gonna
list,
ask that.
I don't think we're going to see these characters interact anymore. I really don't. I just don't see. I mean, they could, but I don't think she's going to kill him. I guess is what I'm.
Yeah, I was
trying
just
to
gonna
say.
ask, do you
I
think
don't
she?
know.
He's a
was-
good fighter. He's on their side.
Yeah.
Like,
But don't be surprised if one of them saves the other in the war.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the war of Winterfell.
Oh, that's
I
true.
can see
Yeah,
that
you can
happening.
see that. That's
Like,
true. That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
I think that will signify them burying the hatchet wherever they
Yeah.
had with each other.
So George, what do you think? Do you want to see Arya with Gendry? You think they're-
I think they make.
think it works?
Yeah, they just have like some kind of connection. They're. I'd like to see that. Like
Yeah.
you never see Arya like interact with any guy or anybody. Like she never cares really like about a guy or something. Like I think it'd be.
There's another big
And,
Great
reason.
to
and
see
she
her.
did say the
Awesome.
last time that she saw Gendry when he wanted to join the Brotherhood, he was
Yeah.
like, they're a family. She's like, but I could be your family.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Right.
that's really sweet. Like,
Yeah.
You won't be my family, you be my lady. That could be foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Maybe.
they're both friends with like your favorite character. So let's not forget
Yeah,
about
hot
that.
pie.
Hot
He's
pie.
gonna be the best man at the wedding.
He's
man.
gonna be
he's gonna be the
He's-
cake baker
right.
Oh,
at
everything.
the wedding. Like,
Best man.
Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the final reunion was actually the final part of the episode. Was
man.
we see a cloaked rider riding up to Winterfell. Not really sure who it was.
I was like, it's a Night King in disguise.
I knew who it was.
Surprise!
He's just
knew
gonna
it was.
casually walk up and ride up. Anyway, he rides up, takes hood off. It's none other than Jaime Lannister. Jaime's obviously left Cersei's army. He's come to Winterfell to fight for the living, as he said in the last season.
He looks great with
What,
facial hair.
what happened to his whole blonde hair? Like
I
the
know,
first
just-
season.
Them and Tyrion
I was
both.
like, yo.
They were
Tyrion,
they were-
exactly.
They were both blonde headed in
Tyrion
season
used to
1
be
and
They're
like,
like,
so
I don't want to be a
blonde.
Lannister anymore. Let me go paint my hair.
right?
Because, yo,
Yeah.
he had like the darkest hair and the darkest beard hair.
I think the budget for like hair dye went to CGI.
Yeah,
they're like, you want golden hair or dragons? We'll take the dragons.
Dragons.
That's
Yeah.
why also like we haven't seen any.
But did he do that to
Ghost.
disguise
Right.
himself or like?
No, he's
No.
just no. But over the last 3 or 4 seasons, he's been
Yeah,
turning more
gradually
brown.
turning, but
Yeah.
still,
Yeah,
like,
yes.
man.
Yeah.
And also, it takes like a month to get from King's Landing to Winterfell.
that's
So
true.
I mean,
For a guy that lost his hand, he's probably like, hey, compliment my hair. Look at my hair. Don't look at my hands or just look at the hair.
Oh my god. That
So-
awkward stare between him and Bran, I could not stop laughing.
Just across
Bran
the
just looking
yard.
at him like,
Yeah.
seriously, does Bran not like go to his room or anything?
no, he
like,
lives outside.
He lives outside.
He lives
Okay,
outside.
all right. I'll
He
accept
lives
that.
there. He's just
I'll accept that.
He's just chilling out there with a blanket.
That
It's true.
That closing scene of Bran and Jamie was symmetrical to episode 1.
Yeah,
Exactly.
when he threw him
Jamie
off.
Jamie pushing Bran out of the window.
The things I do for love.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what I find interesting is that I don't think the Three-Eyed Raven is mad at Jamie. I think don't be surprised if he thanks him in the next episode. Like,
That
hey,
makes sense.
Like, hey man, thanks
You're
for,
the-
thanks for giving me this
That makes
power.
sense.
yeah, you're the reason why I went on this journey to find my way of becoming the new Three-Eyed Raven. Like, for you, because of you, this all happened, and I'm thankful.
And don't be surprised if he maybe saves him in the next episode, because we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But you know,
Trying to roll away.
Jamie's in front of Daenerys, and she's not happy because obviously he's the Kingslayer, and the king that he slayed was her father, who was the Mad King. But we'll talk about that here in a second.
Yes.
But, so that wraps up our reunions. But there's so much more to talk about. There's so many storylines. I mean, obviously the first major storyline that really began the episode is Dany arrives in Winterfell with Jon. The Northerners are not a fan. Let's talk about this.
Well, like Davos had said in later in the episode, he says that the Northerners are stubborn as goats, and you have to earn their trust. And Jon says that to Daenerys as they're arriving in Winterfell, saying the Northerners, don't much trust outsiders. And so, but then you see like Daenerys look up because her dragons are flying over, and she has like this wonderful smile on her
Smirk.
face, a little smirk, like, oh yeah, they're gonna fear me. I think that's like her way of getting through
That's
to
not
people is
good.
through fear, which is
That
not
is
good.
not
that
good.
that like screams dictatorship, like right there.
That's why they don't like her.
That's right, but much
Well, it's not helping. It's not gonna help at all.
right, because Randall's Harley, before she executed him by fire, dragon fire, he says, to Tyrion, say what you want about your sister, but she at least was born in Westeros. She was raised here. You've given your allegiance to a foreigner, which Dany really isn't a foreigner in my opinion, because she was born on Dragonstone, which is still a part of Westeros. She just so happened to be raised in Essos because there were assassins going after her and her brother. So, but yeah, Northerners, they're really, really finicky and just
Petty, short-sighted.
petty, short-sighted. Yeah,
Deserve to die.
I'll be just fine.
Wow.
They deserve to die. They do.
I'm with you. I'm fine with them all. Them turning to White Walkers. If I was John and Danny, I would be like, John, there's no point in going south. Going north. Let's just stay south.
Just
let
burn
them
them
just
now.
destroy everybody up north, and then we'll deal with it afterwards.
Oh my God.
Because like
Y'all
no, because
cold.
That's like Cersei way of thinking.
No,
like
I'm
let
so-
Okay,
the
Cersei.
White Walkers let the White Walkers take care of everybody.
But I'm so sick and tired of the petty nature of the Northerners. You proclaim this man king of the North. He saved Winterfell. He saved the North essentially from the Boltons.
Right.
From the Boltons' treacherous reign. You claim him king of the North. He's like, okay, you're giving me this duty. I didn't want this duty, but you're giving this. You're setting this upon me. So I'm gonna do my best to save y'all. I'm gonna go down south, rally up some troops, and come up north. We're the Golden State Warriors. We have 2 dragons now. We have this Unsullied and the Dothraki, and you have the nerve to be petty and be like, oh, we want help, but we don't want that help. Go get the Glovers. Go get the Umbers. go get the 45 men who's not gonna make a difference in this
62
war.
from Bear Island.
62 from Bear Island.
62 from Bear Island.
It's like,
They count for 100 each, man.
They do. That's a lot.
but it's like life and death is in the balance right now. You worry about who you're clicking up with. It doesn't matter. Like John said. If you're living, you're fighting for the living at this point. We're all one. We're all fighting for the same cause.
And they named him the leader. Let him lead.
Yes.
If you didn't want to be the leader, then stop making him the leader. He doesn't want to be the leader.
Well, and
he
he-
doesn't. Like,
and-
it's clear.
And he said
said
it
that.
when Lady Mormont. I love Lady Mormont, by the way, because she's still awesome no matter.
All of this episode.
She's on
Well,
my bad list.
She came off
Yeah.
not well.
Yeah.
Wasn't
You know
her best.
what?
Wasn't her best look.
But you know
Nope,
what? She
not
holds
at
her
all.
own. She holds her own. I respect that. But she says, we named you King of the North, and his retort to her is, yes, I had to choose between, my crown and the North. I chose the North.
Right.
So say what you will, but do you, basically what Frank's saying, do you want to live or do you want to die?
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Well, just let them, they want to die.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Can we talk about Jon and the dragons? Oh my gosh.
Jon finally rides a dragon.
Oh my gosh. And he rides Rhaegal, who
His
is
dad's-
named after his father, Rhaegar. And at first it's like, I don't know how to ride a dragon. Well, no one does. And it's like,
I guess you do.
well,
You're
what if he
Targaryen,
doesn't
you
want
know.
me to? Well, it was nice knowing you, basically.
Right.
And he gets, okay, we all know that Jon's a Targaryen. clearly dragon riding is not a natural thing for Jon being a Targaryen. And I think, Frank, you say that there's usually just one dragon amongst, like like Daenerys is the dragon, right? You know, fire can't, you know, harm her, you know, things like that. But so it's safe to say that Jon doesn't possess the same kind of magic that Dany does.
Because in season 1, when one of the whites woke up in the quarter room and he saved Geo Moment,
right.
he took
Right.
the fire
the
candle
torch.
and a torch and it burnt him. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, even though he's a Targaryen, he doesn't possess the same kind of like magic that Dany does. Clearly, dragon riding is not natural to him. But I absolutely love the fact that he finally got to ride the dragon. It was a really cool scene. I loved like the scenic route that they took. It was beautiful. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like wherever they film, and I guess in Iceland is just amazing.
Yeah.
But
you know, to Jon's defense, Dany struggled riding the dragon first because for a little bit.
I feel like it came more natural to her though.
Did it? Because in season 5, when
Dance
they
of
Try to
Dragons.
leave off in the
Dance of
So when
Dragons.
they leave off, she's on dragon. They leave off. Drogon is somewhere in the pasture side eating and stuff. She tries to get back on Drogon, and Drogon throws her off.
Well,
so
okay.
it was kind of a rough go.
In Drogon's defense, when I'm eating, like, don't mess with me, okay? Like, that's my happy place. Like, don't mess with
It's a
me.
good point. It's a
Okay,
good point.
I'm just saying.
Now I have a weird freaky theory that just came to me right before the show started. So they land, right? They're talking. Daenerys like, hey babe, keep me warm, keep your cream warm or whatever. So they embrace, they kiss, whatever, and like John's one eye is like kind of like looking at Drogon, and Drogon's like giving the meanest
He's
mean mug that you could possibly give
Well,
a
both
human.
of them, both Rhaegal and Drogon.
Yeah, the first scene, and
Yes.
then the second
But it's
camera
a
shot is just
close-up of,
Drogon
Drogon
just mean
just-
mugging
And
not-
Drogon's just
So a couple of the season 1, the season finale, when Khal Drogo is basically he dies, and they burn his body in the pyre along with the witch, Daenerys, and the 3 eggs, and then you know the eggs hatch is the 3 dragons. What if Drogo's soul went into Drogon? Because that mean mug
That'd be crazy.
that mean mug that Drogon gave Jon.
Drogon.
Yeah, that's Drogo's namesake.
no,
So,
you're
like,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not just be anything, just Drogon just mean mugging. But like, I found that weird that they didn't show Rhaegal that second shot. It was just Drogon, a solo shot.
Well,
of
but
Drogon.
that's who she obviously is connected to. Like that's the dragon that she rides. But that's a really interesting theory that maybe some part of Drogo's soul is within Drogon. But I also look at it as like, you know, guys, you know, you're protective of your mothers, right? So someone is, you know.
That's
that's true.
I'm just saying.
Probably the most logical thing, but that's a cool theory.
But that's a really
Drogon,
cool
come on the
theory.
show.
I really like that theory.
We'd love to hear that.
It's a really, really cool theory. But I look at it as like, oh, don't mess with my mama because you're gonna have to deal with me, kind of deal. So that's
So what
just,
was up with Daenerys said that they didn't want to eat or something. The dragons didn't want to eat, or
they don't like the North.
Yeah, they only had
what does it
18
have to
goats
do
and
with
11
eating?
sheep.
Yeah.
So.
So
Well,
that
if-
they didn't eat enough,
But if they don't eat enough, then they don't have enough strength, and then we're gonna need them in
and
the
then
war.
they just totally like flew for nothing, like, and they weren't hungry.
Well,
they did
I
all
don't know.
that maneuvering and all this
Yeah.
stuff.
But prior to them riding off on the dragons, there's a point where Daenerys is talking about Sansa to Jon and says, you know, your sister doesn't like me, and Jon's
Yeah,
like, well,
no.
she doesn't, you know, she didn't like me growing up either. Well, I don't want her to be my friend, but I am her queen. And then Daenerys starts off this sentence of, you know, if she doesn't like respect me or whatever, and then it cuts off because about the dragons, you know, not eating. What did Dany mean? Like, if Sansa doesn't respect her, doesn't follow her,
gonna
then
do?
what? What is Dany gonna do to Sansa?
Exactly. That's a good point.
So that's gonna lead off to something I think very interesting. There's obviously a rift between Sansa and Daenerys, and girls are catty. This is why I really don't have a lot of girlfriends, but like I'd rather like hang out with you guys because you're cool. But girls are like so catty, and obviously, I don't know. I feel like maybe Sansa's jealous of Daenerys, or not in the romantic sense. Obviously, like she doesn't have those romantic feelings for Jon, but like she's threatening, you know,
It's a power
Sansa's position, I guess,
Right.
in
Yeah.
Winterfell. So we got to keep going, guys.
Yeah,
There's
so
a lot
let's
to talk
get
about.
let's get to Little Ned Umber, who, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Rule number, he gone.
He gone.
So talk about
That
how does
scared me, dude. Yo, that scene made me jump. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, he's on the wall, he's fine. And he started screaming.
I'm so annoyed by the protocol of lords in the north. Like, so Lord Umber is in the
With no supervision.
Yeah, he's
Hey, man,
he's in the
He's a
7-year-old
man.
kid.
7-year-old
Yeah.
kid, ride your
Right.
horse to the castle
Right.
real
He's a
quick.
man.
He's in the council room telling Daenerys and Sansa and Jon, like, hey, my people are in the Great Hearth. We need more horses to bring them down. And Jon's like, okay, well, we'll give you what you can. Why is he going with them back north to get these people? He is a leader of a house.
Right.
Send your messenger to go get these people. Why
That's true.
is a 10-year-old boy going by himself or with a bunch of people to get more people down here?
Yeah.
Like the lords of the north need to stay in Winterfell. You are the key to your houses.
Yeah.
That was
Not
weird to me.
anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
So from one, sorry, Brittany, from one new character to another one, we were introduced to Captain Harry Strickland. Let's talk about him for a second. He's the commander of the Gold Company. We meet him very briefly. Obviously, he survived the episode, so we're going to see more of him. He brings 20,000 men to King's Landing, but no elephants, which
Cersei's not
where's her
happy about
elephant?
that.
she's bummed out.
She's
bummed out.
like, where? I wanted those elephants.
She
'cause
loves
elephants
Dumbo.
can defeat-
She loves Dumbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually love Dumbo,
That's
so
fine.
don't ruin that for me.
But no elephants because they said that they're not suited for long sea voyages, right? So
Well,
like,
and they're extremely
They try.
heavy to put on
Yeah, exactly.
ships. I mean, and that's a long journey from Essos to Westeros. So
I just don't see how the elephants are gonna really help her against dragons. That's just big. That's
Wait,
just
they
meat.
can't beat them? An elephant can't beat a dragon?
Now, unless they can fly like
Oh my
Dumbo,
God.
then sure. But
Yeah,
I thought
I think
that was kind
that's
of weird.
Justin's point. They can fly.
Yeah, like, if they can fly, then sure. But yeah.
is she going to be compensated for the fact that she didn't get elephants?
She thought she paid for elephants. She needs a reimbursement
She
or
needs,
something.
she needs a reimbursement.
Exactly.
Or
She-
more men.
Yeah, she
Or
wasn't too
something.
happy. And it looks like there was a little bit
Well-
of friction between Strickland and Euron.
Euron.
A little bit.
Oh,
Like,
well, no friction between Cersei and Euron. I mean, let's just.
Some friction, right?
I mean, well, there was
That's
some
like-
friction.
yeah, yeah.
Some
Some
friction, right?
friction. That caught me off guard because, Euron, obviously, he feels that he's come through with his promises. He should get something in return, meaning Cersei. And she's like, if you want a woman, I'm going to phrase that. If you want a woman, go buy one. If you want a queen, earn her. And then she turns around and allows him to come into her bedchamber. And it's like, what?
Because she knew she had to do that.
Well, that's
because
true.
if she did not let him do that, then he was just gonna dip with his army. Like,
That's-
all right, I'm out.
And
I'm
he
done.
and he did make that point to Yara, saying I'll
Yeah,
take the
he's-
Iron Fleet,
yes.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so yes, Euron and Cersei hook up. She's drinking wine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, she didn't drink wine
Now
when
she was
with
pregnant,
Tyrion.
guys. Y'all said she was pregnant.
So, is she now going to be
Well, now
pregnant?
she might be.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Now-
don't know.
now she might be.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Little
I
Euron.
think Cersei digs Euron more than she leads on.
She likes his arrogance.
She because
She likes his
Euron's
arrogance.
reminds
Jaime.
Cersei of Jaime's season 1 arrogance.
Yep.
Like how
I
he
see
was
that.
brash, the hubris was just on point. And I think that reminds a little bit of Jaime. I think she's attracted to that.
Yeah.
Let's so this episode, obviously season opener was awesome. There's so much to talk about, but let's start talking about next week. Let's see what we saw the trailer for next week. Let's just talk about that just a little bit here at the end. Jaime is standing before Dany. She's saying, "Hey, you're the Kingslayer. You killed my father." We talked about as kids how we wanted what we were going to do to the man who killed my father, and here you are in front of us. What do y'all see happening? What's your
do
prediction?
nothing.
I think the 3-eyed raven, aka Bran, aka the flying wheelchair, comes in and saves her a lot.
Flying wheelchair.
Yeah, he saves Jaime.
Maybe.
I think that's his way of.
That or
Hey,
Brienne.
By the way.
That or Brienne. Brienne's probably gonna because
What's she gonna do though?
She
Like,
wasn't.
Bran's the only one that can tell him
Bran
the.
I think Bran has the influence because what Bran knows and what Bran his third eye sight.
Yeah.
I think they respect that a lot more than
But I
Bran.
see
But
that with-
Brienne's like one of the only people that
knows
like
why
that he
Jaime
actually
did
told
what
her.
she did.
Yeah.
Well, and Bran, both of them.
Well, that's
they can
true.
both team up
That's
and tell
true.
him.
And then if Bran says that needed to happen for me to be who I am today and
Yeah.
for us to save the Seven Kingdoms, I think when he tells Dany that and the rest of the northern houses, they'll fall in line.
Yeah.
But it looks like, aside from the Jaime plot line, it looks like the Battle of Winterfell is on its way. We didn't see
It's happening.
any
Right.
White Walkers. We didn't see
Yeah.
the Night King, but it's happening. It's coming.
It's probably starting like at the end of the episode.
Maybe so.
You think?
Maybe
And then
so.
like.
Well,
the-
episode 3 is going to be the
It's-
Battle of
yeah.
Winterfell, which happens to be on my birthday. Hey. But I'm excited. I'm excited for this season. It's looking great.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, good show. So much to talk about, but please join us next week where we talk about episode 2. Please follow us on social media. We're all over the place. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on SoundCloud. Just look up the Watchers in the Basement. Once again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it.
And remember, the basement is dark and full of terrors.